Hello students, this is the topic array for class 10. Myself Dr. Prakash Pitroda will take you through the introduction of array and how to go about storing and reading an array. So let us understand the concept of array. So before we get into this, let us revise the concept of storing data. So we've learned over a period of time to store various different types of data. We take, for instance, let's say we take method 1 here. So first what we learned is that there is a data type, there is a variable and there is a data value. So we can store A, B, C, D. I can take as many variables as I want and I can store it. Now if I store this way, then assuming that memory computer will take, though we know that int occupies 4 bytes, but we assume that 10 is stored under a single cell, and A being an address has to be present into the system, has to be also stored. That's a rule that even a variable gets stored. So variable is A, which is stored, and the value is 10 stored. So assuming that both of them takes one cell, which is not in reality, it is based on the number of characters and the data type, but assuming that they take one cell, then A and 10 occupies 2 cells because the variable A needs 1, 10 needs 1. So as B, C, D, so as B, C, D here. So logically having 4 cells for the variables and 4 cells for the data, so logically storing 4 data values, I need 8 memory cells, double the size. So that will be a loss of memory in the long term, because if I have 1 million data, then I need so many variables. So this method fails in storing multiple data. Then we came across also the input part of it. So inputting a value in public static void main, I can say ABCD. Even this will give me a box with 4 values to enter, and this will also have a similar type memory being occupied. So in both the cases, the number of data type values and the variables, they double. I mean, the memory is double used. So this method fails when there is multiple data to be stored, and the number of times the data has a set being used, meaning by I may have students marks in a class and I want to know who is highest. So in that case, I have to have the entire set of data. So this method fails because it has multiple variables. Then we also come across method number 3. Method number 3, we took a small segment here where I am taking a program with 1 to 200 and I'm asking user to enter a value and take it as 1. So single variable is going to run from this block to this block, is going to run for 200 times, will help me accepting 200 values. However, the problem here is that every time a new value is entered, the old value is lost and the new value comes in. So at any point of time, I only have the last entered values saved with me. I do not have the previously entered values. So this method also fails to hold the entire bunch of data. So I need the entire bunch of data for any particular reason, then all the previously stored method, storing method fails. So in order to overcome that, you have an array. So array, where you can store multiple data having some similar properties stored under a single variable is called an array. Meaning by, suppose I want to store marks of students in a class. Let us assume that I have 5 students marks being stored. Then all 5 students marks to be checked, or 6 students even for that matter. In this example there are 6, so we'll take it 6. So assuming these marks are on 10, then there are 6 students who scored. I can decide on first, second, third, whatever. If I have a full set available with me, a few data items are missing, I won't be able to perform that process. So certain times you need to have a set available with you to perform some tasks. So in that case, array is used. Now common properties means I can say that these marks belong to a one particular class and a particular subject. So I can say that these marks are those 6 students with let us assume that maybe having a marks in a particular subject, let's say maths. So how do I store so many values? So I say data type subscript variable. The variable of array is known as subscript variable, is equal to, now there is a box bracket with the variable. This signifies to the computer this is an array variable, it's not an individual variable. Then data 1, data 2, data 3, these data items must be matching with the data type. For example, when I say integer storing, if I say int is my data type, num is my variable, box bracket signifies to the system that there is a multiple value, is equal to, here are the values. So 4, 6, 9, etc, etc. Then when I run the program in the memory, computer will hold num with all the values together. Now from computer point of view, once the values are stored, they are automatically numbered by the computer, which is not seen by the user. Only computer and the programmer will be able to understand this concept. So being a programmer, we should know that the first value will always be considered as 0 index. Default computer begins counting with 0. Human begins with 1, but computer begins with 0. So if I have a 0 index, fine, here, so 0 index, num 0 index stores 4, num 0 1 in number index stores 6, and so on. So the last one, variable num, stores in 5 number index is 1. Okay, so here num can be considered as subscripted variable, and others are all data values are called subscript values. So as we've understood, computer provides this number automatically. As a programmer, you have to assume this. Now let us look at this. Let's look at this building. Human point of view, if I tell you how many floors, you start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 like that. But if you ask a builder, he will say ground plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he is considering that ground, which is 0 floor. Many of the lift building you must have seen. So computer point of view, this particular number is 0, is your ground floor, is your first index. Okay, and it may go on till 5. In this case, if there are more numbers, this will go on to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. So let us go ahead. In this case, suppose this building name is, let's say Jasmine. So I can say Jasmine apartment floor number 1, Jasmine apartment floor number 2, 3, 4, and so on. So I refer to a building name and the index number. So in this case also I refer to an index and building number. So let's move on to reading an array. Suppose I want to read what value is where, then I must have again a syntax being followed: subscript variable and array index number. So in this, which array value I want computer to read. So when I say num4, for example, num is my array variable 4. So in num, 4 number cell holds 6. So computer will apply 6 over here, which computer will read. So if I want to print, if I say num0, then in num 0 number cell 4 is fetched, applied here, print statement will print 4 on the screen. So this is how reading going on. Now suppose if it is a decimal value, then again I will say double, which is my data type. Variable may be from program to program may differ, but here I have taken same, and I have taken 4.5, 6.2, 9.3, blah blah, all the values. Then when I run this program and the line is read, inside the memory computer will store like this: variable num having all the value, first being in the first, next, and so on, the last in the last. And the array index numbers. Now important thing for you to realize here is, though the data type is double, but the array index is still an integer, because you can't have a cell number as 0.0, 1.0. it is still 0, 1, 2, 3. So when I say print num2, so in num2 number cell 9.3 is picked up, applied here, print will print that on the screen. Similarly, if I have a data being string type, then again name is equal to, I have taken few names, they will also get stored, even they will get the data number, array index as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Though the data type is string, but the index numbers are still integer. So when I make computer read num3, so in name, name 3, so in name 3 number cell is holding John, so John is brought here, print has printed that. So as with the data type char, if it is a character type, it has to be single quotes, Unlike in the previous case, it is in double quotes. Here it is single quotes. So when computer will run this line, again the values. So inside the memory, the value doesn't have quotes. It's the original value. Again, if I say ch4, it means in ch. So I should have here ch here. It's a mistake here, copied probably. So it's a cho was supposed to be here of 4, which contains k. So ch4 will print k. So let's go to the practical aspect of it, and we come in here. So let's say I have a program here. We'll go to this program little later on. Okay, there we are. We have a program here which says int r is equal to whatever some values 11, 12, 13, 14. So when I say R3, so computer point of view, 0 cell, 1 cell, 2, 3. 3 is 14. So 14 should get printed. Similarly, when I have a decimal value and I say N3, then 0, 1, 2 and 3 should print 9. Now 9 doesn't have decimal value, so computer will auto apply by automatically implicit cast will apply 9.0. Suppose I have a name as S, Akshay, Bhavin and Preetham. When I say print as 0, it means in 0 number cell you have Akshay. So this should be printing Akshay. So Akshay. Okay, and if it is CH, so I have certain characters over here. When I say CH4, so 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4 is supposed to print ampersand. So I should get 14, 9.0 Akshay and ampersand on the screen. So when I compile, no syntax error, and I run this, I get all these values. So this is how the entire array, alright, can be, or rather say the values can be read from the entire array. Now suppose I want to read all the values. Say example, I want to print all the values. So let us go back to the program, and we increase the font size to, let's say, 35, and here you can see now. So here is 0 number cell, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So since there are 4 cells, we make computer to read or generate 0 to 4 using loop. This is where your loop concept has to be very strong. So 0 to 4 is going to be applied over here. Now this is inside the loop. So when computer will first time apply 0, num0 will read 12, print will print that. When the loop repeats, one number will be applied over here. So num1 will read 43 and print. Num2, num3 and num4. So since the last value generated is 4, computer will apply 4. So all the values are read. For example, if I run this and I put it over here, I get all the values. You can see from 12 to 87. So all the values are read and printed because of the loop. So if I have more values, I can of course increase the size, which we'll see as and when we progress. How do we do that? So let's take the next one. Say here I have decimal data. So in decimal data also, as I said, you cannot apply a double over here. If you apply a double, you will get an error message. So data value may be 1.2, 4.3, but the indexes are still 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we still generate 0 to 4. Computer will apply here that 0 to 4. Every time the value differs, computer will read that value and print. So if I print this, compile and print, it will print all the values in the order. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. So if I take you to a question bank, so if I say a question bank, probably let's reduce this. Okay, and I take you to the question bank. So we come here, we have an array question bank, and I'm picking up a question from here. So if I say I'm just taking a value, for example, it says sum of positive and negative numbers on the screen. Okay, so sum of positive and product of negative numbers in the screen. So we assume any value can be possible. So I'll take any other value. But if I have to read all the values, every time I find a value negative, I have to multiply, and if I find positive value, I have to add. So how do you do this? So let's see here. So here is a set of values. This may differ from person to person. So I pick up this set from here, I copy this and I apply it over here. Okay, now as a programmer, as of now, I'm counting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to say I is equal to 0, less than equal to 8, I is equal to I plus 1. So now every time computer will apply I, it will read the next cell. In 0 will read the first value. Now if that value happen to be positive, I want to add. But if the value happen to be negative, I need to multiply. So I'm going to apply a multiplication sign, and because it's a multiplication sign, I'll have to make this to 1. So now every time computer reads a number, if the number happen to be positive, the same number, that's n of I, if n of 0 is negative, in this case first time 14, then it will be multiplied because it's not greater than 0, and the loop repeats and reads 15 as n of 1, that is positive, so it will get added here. Again after this, computer will read 16, which is negative, so it will multiply and this will carry on. So until the loop is over. Once the loop is over, I will say print sum of positive numbers as C, and I will make it here as product of negative numbers as D. So when I compile this program, computer will help me to print whatever the answer that we have. So this is how we read the data and we print the data. So I hope you've understood the basics of how to store a value in an array and read a value. I am leaving you with some question bank via PDF file. Please ensure that you practice it at home. Thank you. God bless.